Tim Beck and the offense can improve scoring by creating explosive plays.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sportsing like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Today, we officially welcome Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. If the defense wants to be successful, getting off the field on third down is a must. However, the offense must do many things to succeed, but improving scoring and creating explosive plays is a priority, and Tim Beck can do that as well. So with the offense, there's, when you go 2-10 and it is as abysmal as it was in 2023, no identity, we've talked about it, right? I don't have to go over this ad nauseum. There's a lot of things to fix, right? But here's three things that I thought could be easily fixable. You improve your scoring, which in turn, it includes improving scoring down in the red area, which means taking care of the ball, creating explosives, things like that. Vanderbilt ranked 101st nationally at 22.8 points per game. Number two, you can improve the running game. It was a atrocious 95.3 yards per game on the ground. That was good for 122nd nationally. And I don't know where this ranked nationally, but it can't be too good. But you have to improve on third down. They converted just 33% of third down conversions, which means they weren't winning on first down. They weren't creating explosives. They weren't doing a lot of things. So I'm going to refer back to this list throughout this segment here. So in order for them, let's start with scoring. Okay. So in order for them to improve scoring, they need to create explosive plays, because explosive plays create momentum. Explosive plays equals chunk yardage, and chunk yardage oftentimes gets you into scoring position. And the more chances you get, more attempts you get at scoring, more trips into the red zone, the higher that percentage is probably going to be. So in order for them to create explosives, they're going to have to figure out who their playmakers are. And they've got a month to do that with fall camp, because Virginia Tech's coming in. They've got plenty of firepower. Vanderbilt's going to need to be able to respond. Okay. And they've got options, right? They've got a ton of options. They've got explosive. They can have explosive run game with the spread option and things like that. Okay. They can have an explosive passing game. They definitely have guys that can stretch the field vertically. Jeremiah Dillon, Marion Wiley, Quincy Skinner. They've got guys that can stretch the field vertically. Those same guys can catch an RPO and turn that into a big play as well. So, and also the tight ends factor into this as well. But, how are they going to create these opportunities for themselves? What are they going to do to be able to put themselves in positions? Because they can't just run a standard offense. We know that. That didn't work last year. A standard offense but that's why they hired Tim Beck, right? Tim Beck comes in with a spread option scheme that's very unique, that incorporates also quarterback designed runs, which means +1 running game, which means it's not really an option. Sometimes it looks like it could be an option, but it's not really. There's no read there. Just gives you the illusion that there is. And there's also RPOs built in too. So the option game has many layers. So in order for them to be able to create explosives, they first have to create space, both horizontally and vertically. And if I had rights to show you video, this would turn into a film session, but I don't have those rights yet. So definitely can't do that. So when you're trying to create explosives, you have to identify what you want to do. So you have to have an identity, which I think Vanderbilt does. Okay. So to create explosive plays, to improve scoring, the first thing you have to do is win the line of scrimmage. Okay. Which brings me to the second point. You have to improve the running game. You cannot have the 122nd run game nationally, 95.3 yards per game, and think you're going to improve scoring. This builds into improving scoring. This will also help you in the red zone, in the red area, because in order to improve scoring, you have to not only score on more of your red zone trips, but you have to get touchdowns instead of field goals. You have to increase your touchdown rate. You have to increase also your field goal made rate. You have to get points anytime you get to the red zone. That percentage has to be high. Okay. In order to do so, you have to improve your run game. And they're taking steps to improve in their run game. They really are. And building on the offensive line, they've got some quality guys, although the depth isn't quite there yet. When I say the depth isn't quite there yet, I mean that they're not able to sustain a lot of injuries. So if they have an injury bug, all this goes out the window and you're looking at a pretty rough season. Okay. But they do have quality starters. They do have some quality subs. They do have guys that can play in those positions, and they have some firepower there on the offensive line, and they can get it done. But they just now have to go and execute. Okay. In order to execute, one of the things that plagued this stat, one of the things that created this stat, and I'll throw it there again for you. One of the things that contributed to only getting 95.3 yards per game is because they really didn't know how they wanted to attack. And they really didn't know identity-wise what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it. So oftentimes teams would say, you know what? You don't really know what you want to do with your quarterback. You're getting these guys open, but you can't get it to them. So we're going to force you to try to get it to them. And we're going to load the box. We're going to put 8-9 guys in the box. And that's not a recipe for success. You're not going to rush very, very effectively on 8 and 9 man boxes, or the appearance of 8 and 9 man boxes where you drop safeties down and you can't really go anywhere. But I think in order to improve the run game, if you improve your explosives, teams have to honor you not only horizontally but vertically as well. And you can do that by having good RPO options, by having good options in general, whether it's run options, whether it's run pass options, whether it's run pass options, like your new age triple option where you have guys going in orbit motion and things like that. I saw a clip from New Mexico where they ran jet sweep, but they had a little triple option thing coming out the backside. So, things that freeze those linebackers are also really, really good. If you can get the inside linebackers to freeze for a second, you're going to have an advantage because they're not coming downhill. They're not scraping across on outside zone, and they're definitely not flowing against jet sweep. If you can hold the safeties by sending receivers vertically, they have to honor that, because if they don't, you just throw it right over the top and make them pay. So Vandy has guys that can do that, and they have a quarterback savvy enough to make you pay. And that's what Diego Pavia, that's where his expertise comes into handy here. And a lot of people are like, well, is Diego Pavia really the answer? Because you look at him and he doesn't look like much, right? But he's scrappy, he's smart, and he can get the ball wherever it needs to get to, and he can factor into the run game. All of those things will clear up space and create opportunities in the run game. And if you got good opportunities in the run game, red zone scoring or scoring in general becomes better and much improved. And when that becomes much improved, you're more competitive in these games and you can actually do some damage. So, and the last thing you need to do, well, this isn't the last thing, but as far as this segment is concerned, this is the last thing. Vandy has to improve on third down. Okay. You get into a situation to where you're getting third downs, it could mean a lot of different things. Okay. 33% conversion rate is not good, which means if I had to take a stab at this one, it means you're not winning on first and second down. That leads to more degree of difficulty in your conversions. You're probably converting third and long, which is 3rd and 7 and greater. Okay. Not a good situation to be put in. So you're either just launching a prayer on first down or second down, or you're not getting any push and you're getting yourself into 2nd and 10, or loss of yardage or penalties. Penalty rate also gets into this as well. All those things factor into not converting on third down. So in order to do that, you have to – winning first down is the biggest key. Penalty-free, turnover-free, gain at least 4 yards. That's a win on first down. Give me 4 yards, no penalties on first down. Give me 2nd and 6. We can do that, okay? And then stay relatively clean penalty-wise, and you're going to that number is going to skyrocket. Or that number may not move much because you may not have many first downs, because eventually you win enough first downs, you're going to create some explosives. You're not going to get many third down opportunities, but the third down opportunities you're likely going to get will now be 3rd and 4 or shorter. And so those are a lot easier to convert, thus that number will go up. And when that number goes up, you stay on the field and you can put pressure on the defense. They say the more chances you have, the more chances of mistakes there are. It goes both ways, right? If you're on the field for 10 plays, that increases your probability as well, but also on the defense side of the ball. So improve third down conversion, stay on the field, create more plays, and give yourself a chance to get into the red area and of course, into the end zone or get the ball through the upright. So these 3 things, I think if you can improve on these, this will help tremendously. And this will allow you to have a legitimate shot at not only beating Virginia Tech, but keeping your goal intact of going to a bowl game. So defensively, it also helps you if you can have an explosive offense, if you can have an offense that converts third downs, it helps your defense tremendously, right? And speaking of third downs, the defense is going to be a little third down minded as well. They have to convert third. They have to also have third down success as well. We'll talk more about that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much that I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games and sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime that I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers. That's right, all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's right. Make your bets over at FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching ESPN or Fox Sports? Are you tired of all the shouting? Well, here's what you need to do. Because I don't want you to have to turn on TV, right? So in order to prevent that, you need to, get this, make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And speaking of every day, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your go-to spot for your Commodores all day, every day. And thank you for making me your first listen. Make sure you check out Locked On SEC as your second listen when you're done here, or Locked On College Sports, Locked On Sports Today. That's a good one too. So thank you to the everydayers. Always, always, always shout out to the everyday crew. Why don't you do yourself a favor? Join the everyday crew. It's fun. I promise you, we have fun over here. You know who else is going to have fun? Well, the defense is going to have fun, okay? Because they're going to fly around. And a key to their success is winning third down, okay? And That's pretty obvious, I guess. You hear that a lot. You hear, oh, defense got to win third down. Defense got to go fill in third down. Well, I mean, this is a fact of like all teams you could say every team that's ever played football in any level has to win on third down. Okay. But the fact of the matter is this: Vandy was terrible on third down. Okay. They were terrible. They were allowing nearly 50% conversion rate to the opponents on third down, which is uncanny, right? And like I said in the last segment, like there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? It's not, not every third down is created equally. Not every third down is the same as the other. So you can't say like, well, there's one thing they can do to win third down. No, there's not. It depends on the series, depends on the situation, because you have a situation where you get gashed on first down, you get a stop on second down, it's still 3rd and 2. That's not a hard conversion, right? And when you're not as good up front and you're just kind of playing out of your element, which when you have talent like Vandy's, you have to move around and you have to do things outside the box. But when you try to play traditional defense sometimes with guys that can't necessarily play that style, you're getting pushed around a little bit. And it's the SEC. Battles are won up front, and there's teams that have really good offensive lines in this league, and they're just going to get you occasionally. So winning first down is paramount on both sides of the ball. We talked about it on offense. You got to win first down. Same on defense. You've got to win first down. You've got to hold them to 2 yards or less on first down. Same with second down. You have to hold them to 2 yards or less on second down. You have to create those third and 6 and more. Okay. If you can get a penalty, if you can force an incomplete pass, if you can force them into uncharacteristic, kind of panic mode, because, some offense coordinators get impatient with things. If you can force them into that by winning first down, it's going to be advantageous on third down because, that 3rd and 10 play sheet ain't as long as the 3rd and 2 one. I've called plays, albeit not at the SEC level, but I've called plays before. And I'm telling you, man, those blanks, those slots for third down calls, it ain't very large for the 3rd and 10, and it's really big for the 3rd and 2, right? You got a lot of plays for the 3rd and 2. You ain't got many for 3rd and 10. So as a defense, you've got to do that. And if you can do that, you create more opportunities for teams to be vulnerable in pass protection because they're sending more guys out probably. You have more opportunity to get into coverages that aren't your base coverage. So you can do some little funky things on 3rd and long. You can probably take a few more chances, not recklessly, obviously, but take some chances that you wouldn't normally take on first down or second down or even 3rd and short. You can do a lot of different things. You can move a lot. You can do some things with your front that creates pressure. And most defensive coordinators have defensive pressures that are super aggressive on 3rd and long. Every single defensive coordinator I've ever met, I've ever known, I've ever watched, I've ever studied, all the above. When it's third and 10, they are licking their chops. They are coming after you. And if they don't, occasionally that's the curveball where they don't come at you and they make it look like they are, and then they drop off 8 guys. And the next thing you know, quarterback is flustered. The name of the game is confusing the quarterback. If you can confuse the quarterback and get those guys thinking too much, because good quarterbacks don't think, they react. They build their instinct to where they don't have to think. It just happens, right? And the thinking comes a little bit before pre-snap. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not all just mindless robots. But, when I say thinking, I mean overthinking, okay? If you can get a quarterback to overthink, overanalyze, guess what's coming. Like, oh, it looks like it's coming from the left side, and then all of a sudden those guys drop off, and here you come from the right. He's checked his protection to cover the left side. Next thing you know, you got a bandit coming free off the right edge. He's going to hit you right in the teeth, right? those things, like those type of things that when you present different looks, it confuses the quarterback. And if you can do that, that's how you get off the field. That's how you create turnovers. That's how you create momentum building plays. And that's how you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to be super aggressive, because if you're not and you sit back, these teams are talented. They're going to pick you apart. It's just the way it is. Like Virginia Tech is a talented team. They got a lot of guys coming back. You can't sit back. If you're going to beat them, you have to come after them. There's no other way around it. You have to come after them. And if you don't, you're done. It's just as simple as that. So you win third down is the biggest key, but you win third down by winning first down. Second down can go either way. You still have a chance unless you give up explosives. So you have to limit explosives. You have to put yourself into third down situations too. If you can put yourself as a defense into as many third down. So like for offense, you have to limit your third downs. You want to create as few third downs as you can, which means you're getting bigger chunks of plays on first and second down, and you're starting to create explosives, right? Defensively, you want to rack up as many third downs as you can, because your conversion rate it improves. It goes down, right? It gives the offense more chances to kind of screw that up, more pressure, right? You get yourself in a big 3rd and 3 at like midfield. That's like because the down and distance is easy, but the mental mind trick that it plays on an offensive coordinator, 3rd and 3, you're like just outside of your comfort zone where you're just like, okay, line up and run it. It's right at the edge of that. Do we need a boot? That's where like 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 6, that's kind of your offensive coordinator overthinking range, right? I know I've done it. I've outcoached myself plenty of occasions on third. I call it 3rd and medium, 3rd and short medium, right? 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 6 is like oftentimes my kryptonite, right? 3rd and 2, just line up and just cram it. Even if you get 1.5 yards, you still got 4th and short, and you can convert that. A good bit just by quarterback sneaking, especially if you have a big offensive line. But like 3rd and 4, it's like kind of like your no man's land, because if you run it and get 1.5 yards, it's 4th and 3, you got to punt, right? And it all depends on field position. There's a lot of overanalyzing that takes place now when you're dealing with field position. Now, if it's like 3rd and 4 and you're like at the -15, then your play call gets a little more like you can throw a pass, and if you don't get it, you're going to punt anyway, right? There's no like chance to go for it on 4th down, but like right around midfield, you have a chance to have 4 down territory. So it gets you thinking a little bit, right? And if you can get into those situations more, you don't want to be around midfield the entire game, but if you can get in those situations, you can help yourself tremendously by winning third down on those. Okay. So that is the key for the defense. Win third down by winning first down and putting pressure on the defense putting pressure on the opposing offense to get themselves into third down as many times as possible. So, welcome to the SEC, Texas, Oklahoma. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes. As we wrap up the show here, thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. This is Vanderbilt and your team every day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us your first listen. Thank you for being an everydayer. Thank you for joining the Everydayers Club. We love you. We love you. We love you. All right. If you want to continue to be the most educated fan base in all of college football, make sure you check out the other shows on this network. This network does a phenomenal job putting shows together. Locked On Sports Today is great. Locked On SEC with Chris Gordy is amazing. Locked On Ole Miss, Locked On Auburn, all great, right? Those shows are awesome. So make sure you check all those out. But as we wrap up, today's July 1st, as I record. Okay, so if you're watching this, as of yesterday, Texas and Oklahoma became official members of the Southeastern Conference, which when they put out the new crest with the new logos on it, I don't care how cool it is. I think it's great that they're joining the conference, but it is weird. It's weird. It's just odd to see them in the SEC. I love it though. I think it's great. I think Texas is going to have a tremendous time here in Nashville coming up for a game. I think you're going to enjoy playing this SEC slate. Texas doesn't get it easy though. They have Georgia on their schedule. They have mighty Vanderbilt. They have to come to Nashville to the construction site, but it's great. And I think, a lot of people balk at expansion. A lot of people say, oh, expansion's bad. It's going to water down everything. You have too many teams now and it's not good. But let's face it. You want the best. You want the very best in this league. You want the SEC to be represented. You want the SEC, the league you play in, to be represented as the best league in the country, right? And in order to be the best, you have to get the best, and you have to get the best. You have to get the best teams. You have to get the best of everything. You have to have the best facilities. You have to have all of that. And Texas and Oklahoma bring that, right? And they bring it in all of those sports too. Like Texas and Oklahoma were the finals of softball of the Women's College World Series. That might as well have been an SEC championship, right? Texas and Oklahoma. Texas was a playoff team this year, and the playoff expands to 12 teams. So expand your possibility. So the Longhorns are going to be a welcome sight to the SEC. Oklahoma returns a lot of players. They're going to be a team that you have to kind of watch out for, and you have to. You have to contend with them, and Vandy doesn't get Oklahoma this year, and probably won't get them until I don't know how they're going to do the schedules after this year. I think they're going to change that up again a little bit, and I think they're going to kind of reshuffle some things where you rotate more teams in and out, and you have like a couple of permanent opponents. But with the addition of these two teams, it's going to be fun. Like teams are going to enjoy going to Austin. Teams are going to enjoy going to Norman. You get some of these Big 8 rivalries back. You get Texas A&M's natural predator back into the league. And if you're Vanderbilt, you're licking your chops with Texas because you are 9-1 all time against Texas, albeit like 600 years ago. But you have a good record against them, and so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, Texas is supposed to, they're returning a lot of guys too. They're supposed to be pretty talented. Quinn Ewers is up there with the top quarterbacks in the country. And it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing that they're involved and that they're in the league. It's phenomenal. So, welcome to the league. So, I'm excited about that for Texas. That's going to be that matchup in the middle of the year is going to be fun. I hope Vanderbilt fans come out to that. I hope they, I hope they pack the stadium for that, because it'd be a shame if they didn't. It'd be a shame if they let Texas take over the stadium, because, they've got to be better than that. So anyway, but I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be an important game. Again, I think what's going to be fun about it is, coming into it, Vandy's not going to have a whole lot to lose in that game, because that game was already considered one that, Vanderbilt couldn't win on paper. But it's one that, Vanderbilt kind of plays their style a little bit and really just kind of wreaks havoc, plays a havoc style of offense, a havoc style of defense. They can do some damage and possibly get themselves in a position to where they have a chance at the end of the game, because Texas, yeah, they were great. Yeah, they made the playoffs, but like there were some games throughout the course of their run that they weren't world beaters in. They always struggled with Iowa State. They always struggled with Kansas. They always struggled with some of these smaller teams that they should have just road graded and shellacked, but they didn't because these teams are scrappy. They have an identity and they're explosive. And so this game's going to be very, very interesting, and I look forward to previewing it in depth. I look forward to telling you a little bit more about the tail of the tape and what makes Texas, Texas, because Sarkisian is a phenomenal coach. But I just wanted to give my official welcome to Texas and Oklahoma. Welcome to the league. We hope you enjoyed the show. That's going to be where I leave you here tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you like and subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends about it. There's Vandy fans out there that don't know that I exist, don't know that the show exists. Make sure that they do. Make sure they know this exists. Make sure this is their first listen every day as well. Spread the word. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, as always, on the Locked On Vandy podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network. Be good, and, of course, anchor down.